Hey, GutFoxx here. Today we got James, aka Mayamo Bear, who's on YouTube. I'll link his YouTube channel in the description. We're talking about Madden 17. This time the competitive focus, pass rushing, designer blitzes, aka Nanos. How's it going, man?
Going good. I'm excited to talk about these nanners and whatnot.
Yeah, potato nanners. That made no sense. You're just talking about tater tots, and I'm talking about tater nanners. Anyways, authentic pass rushing timing and ball physics change in the aerial game. This little clip here from EA's Twitter account. Did anything stand out to you right away? It's talking about how four-man pass rush will be more effective next year than in 16, which is hallelujah to my ears. How about you?
Yeah, I'm loving that. I think one of the main things they could do to combat nanos and whatnot is making just four man blitzes and normal blitzes within the game good. Because as of right now, it's like you kind of hope that your Ultimate Legend Lawrence Taylor or something like that breaks through, but you're not getting consistent pressure unless you're using a nano.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like watching Von Miller sack Cam Newton reminds us all of the Super Bowl and what a good statted defensive lineman can do, and kind of that's what you see in the salary cap tournament in 16. Offensive lines and sometimes defensive lines, like the speed matters the most if you're going to nano. It just doesn't matter as much as the wide receivers and defensive backs that can, basically stop the aggressive catch. So the fact that they are putting more emphasis on the stats and the actual quality of your D-line, O-line, to me matters a lot.
Yeah, I'm just something kind of going back to the video has I believe 3 or 4 sections. Um,
Yeah.
I am noticing a lot of new animations within the offensive line. If you look at the very first clip, the you see the left tackle, he gets long armed by the defensive end. I haven't seen that one before.
Nice. Long arm and the
It's
spin move, yeah.
yeah, he has that one going there, and then there's a couple other ones. You see the double teams up at like the left guard in the center. I believe
Yeah.
they have a double team. They crash down, and the right tackle reads the linebacker even though he comes out super wide, whereas they might not have done that before.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I see that. Like I know the right tackle sometimes that's how a lot of nanos in 16 were born, was the right tackle flailing out to respect an off outside linebacker that ends up dropping into coverage.
Oh, just
Well,
one more part I want to bring up that I wasn't able to bring up in past videos is that if you look here on the video itself, they're looking at nickel 245. Check out the bottom left. It shows random play, and it's shown that on everything. So now, you could, let's say you're on nickel, you could press L2 or LT, and it'll just give you a random play that's in that certain. It's in nickel, or let's say you want to look at the cover three plays, it'll give you a random cover three play.
so I'll pause it for the people in the video. All right, so yeah, so the random play in the nickel, so like more. And do you think that'll be important for people? Do you think that's going to make a game change difference?
For me, it will just because sometimes I get kind of bored running the same play over and over. If you're competitive and you have your certain plays, I think it's going to be something that's more useful at the beginning when you want to try all the new plays and see how all the new zones work, new man zone, like the new mans work. Um, I'm going to be using it just because I'm going to be inclined to run cover four, cover three, and man. Uh, that might persuade me to run some other plays. I'll probably use it against computer mainly, but still,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So
interesting.
what's kind of cool here about that random play? So it's in practice mode, in nickel 245. So you might be able to you just random play out of that practice mode formation instead of random play for all the formations. Say you want to practice against quarters, you random play out of quarters. Huh.
Yeah. I'm excited because that's going to make the real reason why I'm excited for is that it's going to make testing easier. Um,
Oh yeah.
like let's say,
Instead of having to go against goal line formations and stuff.
yeah, things like that. Or if I'm like let's say I want to test awareness and I give the whole defense 0, give another whole defense 100. I don't want to see how they're doing against I don't know runs. I want to see how they're doing against passes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Cool. So designer blitzes, aka nanos, do you think they have to be in 17 too? But the fact that there's not going to be as big a payoff over a four-man rush, that's important, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's no matter what people are going to use, like they're in a nano, they're going to get whatever kind of competitive advantage they can have. It's just how people do. They do it in every game. Call of Duty people drop shot. They use rapid fire controllers. No matter what, people are going to try and get a competitive advantage. But maybe people will be less inclined if you bring good pressure, just with the stock blitzes and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Yeah, if you pay for a guy, a defensive end, and you spend on a defensive end, and they get a lot of pressure, that feels good, right? You talk about beat defensive linemen.
Yeah, yeah, nothing worse than buying a defensive end and he just disappears.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Especially like Deacon Jones should be a phenomenal defensive end. Reggie White should be, but they're just too slow.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was really excited for that. Like this is months ago, that 95 Khalil Mack, and I really wanted him, but once I got him, he didn't do anything. It was
Yeah.
disappointing.
Yeah. I completely. So having that actually pay off for you will be kind of cool next year. All right. Let's move into the additional gameplay improvements, competitive focus more here. Man coverage. Let's start off with, and they talk about in their blog, also linked in the description. Um, so man press, very effective in 16. Obviously, the Madden developers recognize that. They say man press made defensive backs stick to receivers effortlessly, and if I can say that word, effortlessly. It forced guys to resort to motion routes and the same type of routes to beat it, i.e., the C route. The C route's a Madden only route. You don't really see that in the NFL. Like the hard cutting routes, like in routes and out routes, are how you beat man coverage in real life. Corner routes is how you beat a lot of coverages in Madden. Like you'll see some separations, tight ends and safeties on corners, but it seems like a lot easier to cover a corner route than a out route or an in route, in my opinion, in real life. But having this actual man press check, so like you can one beat them off the line or two beat them on any single cut route in Madden 17. What do you think of that?
Yeah, like we're talking about like the C route, and there's a lot of routes in Madden that are Madden only routes. Like I could say the post is probably the most, other than vertical, the post is probably the most common route in Madden. When in reality, the post is normally it's most often used like only in flood concepts where you have the tight end going out, like Gruden's spider two eye banana.
Oh,
Using That's when you're using a post, and most time if it is a post, it's supposed to be an out, and then the dude just sees like a hole in the coverage. I'd like to see them implement something like that with smart receivers.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, you mean flag routes?
yeah, fly routes, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I said flag. Sorry, you said post. Do you mean
Yeah.
corner? Okay.
Oh yeah, corners. I think post. I don't know. I just always call them inside post, outside post.
Oh, really?
I just
Yeah.
always said that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, post. I always think go to the goal post.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, interesting. You're dumb.
I gotcha. So we're gonna start fighting now, huh?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, so having man coverage. So man coverage in 15 was really underwhelming. In 16, it was oppressive. 15 actually, they did man coverage is actually pretty good if you had really high speed man corners.
Yeah.
I remember somebody had a concept. Basically, their scheme was that, and it was very, very good. But yeah, 16. I really hope 17 finds a nice middle ground. But I guess we'll have to see going forward. That we talked about the zone coverage system in another blog. Do you want to talk about how you want to call man versus zone in 17?
Yeah. You look at the zones, and you see almost every zone is a hybrid where someone comes through, your zone player is gonna cover them like a man coverage. Um, I don't. Maybe you see certain zones replace man. One where it has everyone kind of whoever comes through their zone first is who they're manning up on, something like that. I'm sure someone's going to find a scheme that's dominant, and it creates a lot of traps where you think someone's open, and then all of a sudden the corner in I think it's what is it, a cloud flat, something like that, is right there to pick it off. Um,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see, but they're not talking a whole lot about man coverage, and I hope they bring it up soon because I love man coverage in Madden 16. Because so many people run four verts and they run that PA shot. Man coverage is one of the most effective things to stop that.
Yeah, yeah. And then they start running drags on you, and you kind of feel a little bit of like a drag.
Yeah, yeah. Then you got to
So
start putting people in defensive ends in coverage.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Had to resort to that quite frequently. All right, PA wide receiver in. Yeah, they talk about that and fixing that for next year, which is cool. They always take out the most powerful oppressing plays from one man to the next, like PA end around in 15 to 16. But yeah, do you think there are any other like just overwhelmingly uh, poor plays that you think they should take out of Madden 17?
Uh, the speed out. I don't think I've ever seen a speed out. Like the glitching out, the glitchy
Yeah.
out. one. I don't think I've seen that route. Like that's not a route.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's got like the really fast break, like a corner route, but with the direction of an out route almost. So like
Yeah.
it's like the good thing about both of them. But yeah, like the speed out, it's just like a regular out route with a lesser angle, like an obtuse angle, right?
Yeah, and then I'd like to see them fix play action. Just because right now play action it's useless
Yeah.
because everyone pass commits.
I
You
did.
know,
I do think they did talk a little bit about pass committing being a little bit more punishing next year, but I guess we'll have to see it. I know pass committing in 15, you want to do that basically every play. 16, I do think you got driven off the ball a little bit more, but in 17, yeah, I hope you do get punished for pass committing and somebody just runs up the gut on you.
yeah, because as of, I in 16 I do it all the time anyways because I run that dime flat, and a lot of the time my player who's making the tackle isn't even blocked.
Oh yeah.
Like the corners sometimes they're normally the ones that come through unblocked and tackle the running back.
Yep. So that it doesn't matter if you pass commit or run commit there. So yeah, what do you think of the audibles and them being tweaked for 17?
I like it. It's a step in the right direction. Personally, I'd like to be able to change the audibles, but I think as they add more customization to audibles and like maybe even playbooks, that's when you're gonna see more cheesers and stuff like that. So, um,
Yeah, I mean it goes along with like basically playbook customization. We talked about this before, and I think they maybe should be able to sell instead of Pittsburgh Steelers playbooks, the Broncos playbook, selling different formations on the auction house instead of full playbooks, and then you can pick and choose your own. But yeah, I mean, custom audibles, like they said, makes or breaks a playbook. Like having an inside zone and a four verticals as an audible in the playbook is very powerful in 16. So they said they tweaked them, and I guess I forgot to introduce that to people who didn't know what I'm talking about. They tweaked the audibles going into 17, where the more run-heavy sets have two runs in them, and so forth, instead of just one like they were in 16 here. So yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, custom playbooks. What are your opinion on that?
I do not want to see custom playbooks just because, just you'd be running against people that had 3-4 bear, they'd have 4-6 bear, they'd have nickel 3-3-5, they'd have dime flat, they'd have quarters 3-2-6. They've had all those crazy formations,
Yeah,
and as of right now, it's balanced because you don't have to deal with all of those. Like I
yeah,
couldn't imagine playing against someone that had 3-4 bear and dime flat and 3-3-5, like all the OP ones.
uh-huh.
They just suck.
Yeah, so you're not in favor of the buying playbooks by formation. So I mean that's fair enough. But
I
yeah,
just don't feel like paying a million coins for strong close. That's what I would do.
fair enough. Do we want to talk about quarter defense at all? We talked about this at all in another video. Quarter defense not being as effective, and basically he also talks about in this competitive gameplay because it's so important to the competitive scene. This quarters defense. I mean, eventually, I think there's going to be one formation that dominates over others, right? It always hands like maybe not dominates, but there are some formations that are just flat out better in Madden than others. What do you think? I mean, any thoughts on all these changes that we've talked about for Madden 17? What it's going to be for Madden 17 on defense?
If I had to guess, I'd say the base 3-3-5 that Sly runs, just
Yeah,
because, especially with like towards the end of MUT next year when you have all these linebackers with crazy good coverage skills. When it first comes out, I'm not sure. It's going to be whatever one has the best nanos, to be honest. Um,
okay.
but it's like towards the end or when people are able to create the defense they really want. I think it's going to be more things that have like linebackers, especially because they say that the size is going to matter for shedding blocks. So maybe dime flat won't be the thing to do anymore.
Yeah, the more nickel and or sorry, defensive back heavy lineups. I think so. Like in 16, rushing 3 is really effective
Yeah.
because you'll get there just about as fast as you do when you rush 4. But in 17, where they talk about these, more legitimate 4 rushing passing situations and actually getting home, I think maybe a 4-3 with, or maybe, I mean, 3-4 rushes 4 a lot, but I think it's going to be pretty balanced. I mean, I think right now 3-4 might be better just because of the amount of people you can drop into coverage if that's your scheme, if you don't nano.
Mm-hmm.
But going into 17 with the 4 rushers, I think I'm going to stick with the 4-3 when I start out 17, but see how it goes from there. And I'm really hoping it is effective with good rushers out the edge.
Well, my plan is to run like just personally what I was thinking, looking at all these different things, is I'm planning on running 3-4, but having two nose tackles, one at D end, one at nose tackle, and then putting more of a 4-3 guy at one end, and then obviously like have kind of one dedicated outside rusher, kind of like a modified 4-3. But I just feel like having the two nose tackles, it would be nice
Yeah,
because you get two gap now, and
yeah,
the 3-4 kind of lines up better.
oh, I guess yeah, that will be really interesting to see like how effective those two gap linemen are. Because yeah, if you can shift over two gappers, and if they don't change their two gappers, and if that's actually an effective defense to shut down things, yeah, I can see a modified 4-3 out of the 3-4.
Yeah.
Working
Hopefully
pretty well.
they bring. I'd love to see like a Richard Seymour legend. That would be amazing for a 3-4 D end.
Yeah,
But we already have Reggie White and stuff, so I mean he
yeah,
wasn't really a 3-4 D end, but still.
yeah. Reggie White could play anywhere on the defensive line. He's much like J.J. Watt. I mean, Watt's probably the best 3-4 lineman we've ever seen.
Yeah. No, Watt. You could say he's probably one of the best defensive linemen period at this point because he's such a freak. He gets outside linebacker stats like sack wise, but plays D tackle, D end, all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have, I know Houston has rushed him a lot more on the outside edge this past year than they did in previous years. But yeah, why? I mean, it's crazy. But then again, we're kind of off topic here. But you ever
Yeah.
see that picture of J.J. Watt standing next to Yao Ming? Yao Ming makes J.J. Watt look like a middle schooler.
Oh yeah. No, that's
So fun.
scariness.
Yeah. But anyways, Animat, anything else you want to talk about? They talk a little bit about juke moves, but we talked about that a lot in our ball carrier one. Turbo blitzes, looping blitzes. We talked a little bit about that. I mean, I'm sure that it looks like they want to move more towards looping blitzes, in my opinion. You know, delayed blitzes with their designer
Yeah.
blitzes rather than straight nanos from the D line. And that's kind of where Madden has shifted those delayed linebacker, a lot of looping blitzes now.
See, I don't really have an issue with that as much as I do the Nanos because just in offensive, like they're working a lot on the offensive line as far as the animations and all that, and their sort of what they do. I'd like to see them really kind of focus on an offensive lineman mentality where it's inside out and they have their priorities where they're not going to let a D tackle through because a linebacker is pretending to blitz.
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
see what I
that,
mean? Like,
yeah, taking the guy closest. It'd be cool, like you said in a previous video, NCAA had offensive line assignments. That'd be cool if they put that into Madden.
yeah, and then it's like if they show it like they did on the previous NCAA,
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to see how you shift your line and you see how it adjusts it, kind of like being able to hot route your line.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool if you could hit the hot route button, like you could hit one of the buttons on your controller and it selects the left tackle, left guard, and you're like, all right, you block this guy, and do stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, anything else on this blog or anything?
The last thing I'd want to tell people is just go through and watch all the videos. Check out the new like there's a ton of new animations on the offensive line, defensive line, and you can see for yourself on some of them. Some of the things look a little buggy as far as when they slide over, but I feel like if you just watch it and get a feel, you could tell EA spent a lot of time, I guess, working on the offensive, defensive line, battled in the trenches, and I shit on EA a lot. I think everyone does, but it's nice to see them focus on things that aren't just catered to the casual player.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, they did cater some things to the casual, obviously, like we talked about before, with the running assists and whatnot. But yeah, for making it more in depth and really listening to the community, I'm excited too about Madden 17. Well, James, thanks for being on. For all those, take a look at his YouTube channel, The King of Testing, in the description. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.